Well, welcome to this episode of ISV Talks. I'm Carol Livingston with Dynamics Connections and your host of ISV Talks. And on this episode, I'm excited to welcome my special guest, Lisa Kugel from Wolters Kluwer. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carol. I'm really excited to be here today.
Thank you. Well, I'm really excited to have you. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the sales channel and affiliates manager for the Microsoft channel here at Wolters Kluwer. I've actually been with Wolters Kluwer 6 years, and I spent about 5.5 years in the mid-market working with CPAs, doing their digital transformation, moving from
Oh,
on-premise to cloud. And then now I have that same opportunity working with Microsoft customers, doing that same journey. And so it's pretty exciting, and working in the channel has been great. I've got over 20 years experience in direct sales and sales strategy. So it's exciting to work with the value added resellers and the SIs and, really help drive business. So
okay. Well, tell me a little bit about how did the company start and what's your company history?
yeah, so we've got a long history. Wolters Kluwer actually began in 1836 with J.B. Wolters. He founded Wolters Kluwer in the Netherlands, actually. And
Oh,
then where most people, know about us is called CCH, Commerce Clearinghouse. And that's where we're mostly known here in the United States. That was founded in the United States over 100 years ago. Also, we've got about 187 years behind us. Wolters Kluwer actually bought CCH in 1996.
okay.
And so we've combined forces in just really deep tax research and accounting background. We're a $5.6 billion company, we have over 19,000 employees. But what's exciting is that 100% of the top US accounting firms actually use at least one CCH solution, and 93% of the Fortune 500 companies use at least one of our solutions. The IRS also uses CCH SureTax for its tax deduction calculator and has
Okay.
for over 15 years. So we just say when you have to be right.
So tell us a little bit about the solution.
Yeah. So what's exciting is that Wolters Kluwer, it is a large company, and we have lots of different divisions, not only in
Mhm.
accounting and health, but in indirect tax. And so that's the area that I work in, is the indirect
Okay.
tax solution. So our sales and use tax solution. We're not a one-trick pony. And so one of the things is that people like about us is that sometimes they're working under our umbrella somewhere else, like in corporate tax, for example, or their CPA may use us. And so they may even use some of our workflow products. We've found that, again, CCH is very well known within the tax area. So once we speak to people who are in the tax division, usually of a company, they know who we are. So
Mhm.
what we're talking about today, of course, is CCH SureTax, which is a sales and use tax solution that we provide.
Okay. Yeah. And a lot of companies know in the tax departments that companies do use CCH products for tax research and compliance. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I think the other thing that's kind of interesting is that, because Wolters Kluwer is a tax research company first, they're not really a
It
software
is.
company, right? And now you've
Right.
developed or have products for companies and have the tax products on software, right? So,
Yeah, so we really developed our software products to support that tax research piece as we grew with the company, right? We used to just be a publishing company, so it was all paper. And as we moved out of that, we began building the software. So we aren't a software company that decided to do tax. We're actually a tax company that started making software. And I think that just shows our deep domain experience
yeah.
and the close relationship we also have with Microsoft and Microsoft ERPs is very exciting. And I think that it's something that our clients really appreciate about us. We've got a lot of options for them. And not only we have an end-to-end platform, which is CCH SureTax, but some companies don't need all that. So we have some address lookup solutions. We have something called Radar, where they can just look up the information themselves. And so, really depending on the
Yeah.
client, we can fit our product to their need.
Nice. Sure, tax is end-to-end solution, but if they have a e-commerce system or B2B portals or shopping carts, you can work with those as well, right?
That's correct. We can, and a lot of our customers, they need a little bit of customization outside of the Microsoft ERP, and we work with their. Usually, what we do is we'll work with whoever their Microsoft partner is to establish that. And so if there's anything additional that needs to happen, we work with that partner and then we can create that for them. Usually we don't have to do a lot of that because we've got really tight integration with Microsoft. Everything from the legacy products, from BC, NAV, GP, and then into the D365 products. We also support. We actually also support with this NetSuite, Acumatica, and SAP. So we're really out there for all ERPs, but of course, what I'm focused on is Microsoft.
Okay. So, and if they're on one product today and migrate, they can still keep their solution CCH for tax.
Yeah, and so they're going to see some of the same things. Now, of course, if they're going from on-premise to the cloud, there may be something different that has to happen there, but they're still using the same product. Those mappings and the things that we did, the large portion of that is already taken care of. And so when they move up into the cloud, it's a much easier journey for them.
Okay, awesome. What specific industries do you work with or specialize in?
So we specialize, actually, we can help all industries essentially, but we do have specialty product in construction. So that's a very complex area, and also manufacturing. As far as I know, right now, we're the only ISV that supports cannabis in tax, wholesale and distributing.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got some niche areas. We've got some wine in the wine vertical. We can help with that. But really, we are there for really all verticals. There's nothing we can't do. We just have some specific content for some of those areas. And if somebody's wondering, they can certainly reach out to us on that.
That's interesting.
Right. So, and I did forget to say telecom. Actually, telecom is where we kind of cut our teeth, and that's a very complex industry. Retail, leasing, wholesale, and distributing, it all falls within those areas that we specialize in.
Okay. Good to know. What have you seen in the past couple of years, and what challenges are you seeing Dynamics partners and customers dealing with?
Well, I think in the Microsoft channel, one of the things that I'm seeing is, I don't want to say there's confusion, but on one hand, Microsoft is saying, they're not going to support certain ERPs anymore, right? So there's a little bit of an urgency there when you don't have that support anymore. But then sometimes they'll continue to support a little bit. And then also a lot of the partners are able to support you with your legacy product. And so that's great. I think the challenges that I'm seeing is that as people are, they need to have a plan, right? I mean, eventually you're going to most likely move into the cloud. I mean, that's the way the world is going. And there's some really good reasons for that. And one of the main reasons is security, right? I mean, the cloud is offering a lot more security than your legacy products. And so a lot of these on-premise products and some of the legacy products, what I'm seeing is they don't really need to move right now. But what's happening is actually the red flag that something is really happening is that the ancillary products like ours are starting to sunset the older versions of those products. And so where they may have had something really built out, maybe they had 10 or 11, products that are plugging into that ERP, suddenly they kind of start pinging off and they get sunsetted. And now you don't have the kind of functionality that you had in the past. So that's one of the things I'm really starting to see right now, especially in some of the legacy products like NAV, AX. We're seeing people sunsetting. There are some that have already been sunsetted. And although we do have, so for NAV and AX, we do have some solutions for that, but it's really just to help you get through until you make that next step. So, I think what I'm seeing, and it's not entirely different than what I saw when I was working with CPAs. Having things start to just kind of flip around, not, aren't going right in the ERP. So then you have to have your partner come in and make patches, and that's going to cost you. I mean, any way you slice it, there's going to be some cost there. So what we really recommend to the partners is, hey, get together with your Microsoft partner, talk to them about your journey. It may be 5 years from now, but it's better to start that journey now than to have 3 ancillary products sunset and then you realize you can't function properly and now you're on fire, right? And then that journey is no fun for anybody. It's not fun for us. It's not fun for the client. because everything's burning down at that point and everybody's just trying to get everything done very quickly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's some things that I'm seeing out there. I do see some people maybe not planning. The other thing, just on the tax side, I think Nexus really, Wayfair ruling really brought some confusion into the marketplace. I think they understand it now, but sales
Yeah.
tax is so complex in the US, right? I mean, complexities are just, I mean, honestly, they're pretty wild. I mean, there's over
Yeah.
100,000 taxability changes annually, 100,000
Wow.
changes annually.
That's crazy.
There's 24,000 taxing authorities. I
Mhm.
mean, I say those words and it's like, oh, what's the big deal? And there's 10,000 taxing jurisdictions. And it's like,
Right.
but when you really
Yeah.
comprehend that, I mean, we have a team of people who every month they're calling to make sure we keep you compliant.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Just keeping up with the tax rate changes. It's also the taxability, right? Like we lived
yes.
in Pennsylvania for a while, and I remember, like diapers weren't taxable, but something else was. And you're like, what? I don't
Yep.
what? Why wouldn't
Well, in
it
some
either be
some
taxable
areas,
or
a
not?
donut is taxed differently
Yeah.
if you buy it individually than if you buy six at a time.
Yeah.
We've
So
got areas where counties are split and there's an airport, and one side of the airport is taxed differently than the other side of the airport.
it's crazy.
I,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
and if you don't know, I
yeah.
mean, it's not something that's an eye roll, right? I mean, some people go, oh, we're just going to keep doing it on Excel spreadsheets, and they may be able to, but I will tell you, I don't feel as we move forward that taxing jurisdictions are going to let their foot off the pedal, right? Everybody's looking for their money to pay for
Yeah.
things. And one of the places the states can really leverage this is through this nexus, especially now that we've got
Hmm.
the on-premise nexus, right? Or if
Yep.
you've actually hit a threshold. And that's the part that gets confusing for people, and that's something that we can help people out with.
Yeah, that sales threshold is kind of a tricky thing, right? It's
It
so
can be
com
it can be quite confusing.
So you mentioned you're seeing a lot of ISVs or add-on companion products sunsetting their support. What about Wolters Kluwer? Are you still supporting some of those legacy, on-prem products?
We are, and we've had some sunsetting as well. And like I said, we do have some databases that can help some clients if we aren't able to give them the full platform anymore.
Okay.
As with every ISV, anybody who is sunsetting something, usually we start a year and a half or more letting the customer know, right?
Mhm.
But again, everybody's
Yeah.
busy. A year and a half can go this quickly. And that's why this planning part is so important because and you do need to pay attention to things that are, even if we say, hey, we're sunsetting this in 18 months, you need to mark
Yeah.
it on your calendar and you need to figure out, well, what is your option then? Call us
Mhm.
and we'll tell you what your options are with us. And then we can help you. Or maybe you need to, I mean, maybe this is the great time then to talk to your Microsoft partner and start making that plan because it's
Yeah.
going to happen, right?
That's good advice is do the planning, then that transition won't be a panic, right? Trying to close
Yeah.
the books and now you've got to deal with a tax issue on top of that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, we had one of our competitors did some sunsetting in AX and NAV, some of the older versions.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that their clients were told it was happening, but when it happened, it was still shocking to them.
Yeah.
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 And so we were able to help them. And
Yeah.
so that
Good.
was good, but it's kind of a band-aid. We can help you, right? But it's still not the end-to-end platform that's going to keep you in best compliance, but we can
Yeah.
get you through, right?
Mm.
Some clients that works just fine for. Other clients who have complex things going on, like manufacturing, construction, retail, you start getting into some of those complexities. And again, when we're talking about a drive through chicken restaurant, if you order outside,
Yeah.
it's one tax. If you order inside and eat there, it's another tax because if you're driving off with it,
Oh,
it's different. And
it's
so
takeaway. Yeah.
it just gets
Yeah.
completely, you have to know these because the tax man, when they come in, they're going to look at that. And there may be areas where you wouldn't be taxed on something, right? So you don't want to be paying taxes on something you don't need to, right? And
Great.
so that's really important as well. And then there's tax holidays and just keeping up with that. And all of that becomes very arduous for the tax department to handle when they're, there's a lot of other administrative duties that they're doing and keeping up with. And this is something
Yeah.
that we can really automate for them. We can automate it as,
Yeah,
so.
automate it, definitely. Definitely. You don't want to be tracking those, going to websites and calling the states to find out.
Right.
Any observations from partners, either, kind of longtime Dynamics partners or even new partners to the space in the, about tax compliance?
Yeah, I think what's interesting to me is we're probably the biggest company that nobody knows in this space. So it's funny because they know us in the CPA
Yeah.
world, right? But in
Mhm.
this, like in this channel space, this ERP land, getting to know us is pretty important. So the VARs that we work with, they really enjoy working with us because we have great customer support. So after you've been
Mhm.
implemented, we're there for you. And it's just one place to go. So if you have tax questions, you come to the same place as if you were having a technical
Oh,
issue,
yeah.
and we shuttle you right into where you need to go. The implementation process, again, we work very closely with the Microsoft partner and make sure that goes smoothly as well. So there's a lot of communication involved in that and making sure that we handle it. The implementation team and support team are all WK employees here in the United States. And so as the project managers work with the Microsoft partners, they really get to know us, right? It just becomes easier
Right.
because we've worked together before, we understand each other,
Right.
and that makes things a bit nicer. So I think that the feedback I get from the VARs, what they're seeing is the same thing I just talked about in the channel, right? People need to get a plan and start moving forward with that plan. And they can tell us, but really we encourage them to reach out to their Microsoft partner and get that broader scope. And I think the other thing that some of the partners are giving me feedback on is just they're seeing that tax compliance is becoming more important as people are moving their ERPs. So when you move your ERP, say you're moving from GP to BC or something like that, that's a great time to reevaluate, right? And make
Hmm.
sure that you have the right product. And we're very thorough. Our team is very thorough about figuring out what you need. We don't like to have surprises with the pricing. So we try to get all
Oh,
of that out there up front
okay.
and you'll know what you need. And so you're not getting nickel and dime down the road. And that's one thing some of my partners have talked to me about, that some of the other competitors that we have, is that sometimes they'll come in with a base price, but it's really not everything. And so once they start implementing, then they get told, oh no, you
Oh,
need this module too, and you'll need this as well. And and so it's less expensive in the beginning, but then in the end, it actually ends up being more expensive because all the pieces finally, come to light. But we really
mhm.
do a deep dive on our discovery calls and get to know the corporations and what they need. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's fair, gives more transparency up front so you know what it's going to cost. And yeah, so what does how does Wolters Kluwer and CCH Tax, how do you work with resellers and support your products or CCH SureTax products?
most of our partners really actually aren't resellers. So most of them refer business to us. And so then we
Okay.
take it over from there. So we take it off their plate and they like that.
Okay.
And then how we work with that is, again, you just come into our umbrella and then we get the product implemented. You'll have a team working with you. You'll have an implementation team, a project manager, a technical manager, and they're going to go in and step through that process with your IT team, right, to get everything implemented and mapped the way it should be. The other thing is that we work very closely with Microsoft. And so another important piece is that we are evergreen, which means that we do our
Okay.
updates within 5 days when Microsoft is doing their updates. And so that's something, again, that the partners like and our clients like too, because they don't see breakage and things like that. They don't have to worry about that versioning. It's all put in there. We are, as far as I know right now, the only sales tax ISV that's built on Microsoft Azure. So we're a very kind of like a material part of the community. And as we move forward, there's been a lot of changes at Microsoft. They're starting to really look at working with people with Azure decrement, and some have Mac agreements and things like that. And those are all things that we're highly aware of. And as we move forward, be able to help them work through that as well.
Yeah, and that's good to have a close relationship because it's complex, like the licensing and what kind of licensing the client has and their environment, their hosting provider, all of that. So good. Any perspective you have to share about the marketplace and really just how are customers trying to improve their operational efficiency? I know that labor shortages and maybe economic concerns. I know people are trying to, stretch their dollars. So any perspective you have to share about that marketplace?
I think on the marketplace, and some of this is a learning experience for us too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
as we become transactable. So, what Microsoft is doing now is they're driving transactability in their app store, which
Mhm.
makes it easier for the client to procure their products, right? So, instead of having to go out there and get all these different vendors like myself approved on their accounting side, they can just get Microsoft approved. Then through that agreement, they can procure our product through Microsoft. And that makes their procurement process much easier, a lot more streamlined. What they will begin seeing in the marketplace is private offers, and that's something that they would see from us because we have a complex quoting. We don't have, it's not an out of the
Right.
box product, right?
Right.
So they would go and they would choose that private offer, and then we will do our discovery process with them, get them a quote, and then they'll be able to procure that through the marketplace. And I will admit right now, we're not transactable yet, but it is on our roadmap and we should be there by the end of December.
Mhm. And what that means is that, a business could go to the app store or the marketplace and Microsoft and buy the app and download it, essentially, right?
They don't actually. So they can with
Okay.
some. With ours,
Okay.
they would see it as a private offer, but they can
Okay.
do their procurement through there. So they can do their full purchasing process can all be done through
Oh, I see.
Microsoft. And so
Okay.
that makes it a lot more simple. So they'll actually do the negotiation piece with us, and we will get them their quote. But their final billing will actually come through the Microsoft system. So they will pay through Microsoft
Hmm.
and they will
Oh, that's
procure through Microsoft.
convenient.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it a lot more streamlined for purchasing
It will make
software.
it a lot
Yeah.
more streamlined, especially when you know, and I know you
Yeah.
know how many ISVs are out there, right?
A
Hundreds.
lot.
And so
Yeah.
many of these, you have to approve the vendors, right? So when they get Microsoft approval, they don't
Yeah.
have to do each individual vendor. So it really streamlines it and makes it much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, and I imagine it does have to kind of go through a quoting process, because of the variations of states and
Yeah.
locations and taxability needs. Yeah. So just changing gears a little bit, Lisa. So are there any new trends you're seeing on the horizon? Like, what are you seeing developed in the future? And
Yeah, so what I'm seeing out in the marketplace is I'm seeing like B2B portals. We have integration coming with a number of e-commerce products like Big
Mhm.
Commerce. We're already integrated with Magento. So the Big Commerce integration is exciting and that's coming up here in fourth quarter. I think what we're going to be seeing is we'll be more prolific in some of the
Okay.
connections out there. But I think that e-commerce is one of those things that people are really looking at and wondering how can they leverage that with their company? Not always, business to consumer, but business to business is what I'm
Great.
seeing a huge growth in. And so people are
Mhm.
really starting to look at that and we can help with that as well, as far as being able to connect with those types of products and end user
Yeah.
e-commerce platforms.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not the inside of the ERP. It might actually be other kind of other systems that connect too, right? That do
Right, right. And we're always
transactions.
looking for those kind
Yeah.
of great partnerships. And so people just
Yeah,
need to be on the lookout for some of the new things that we bring out to market.
great. So let's kind of wrapping this up. Lisa, is there really one trend that you're seeing that's driving partners or customers to come speak with you?
Well, I think, no one likes tax, right? It's not anything anybody gets
Yeah.
super excited to talk about. Nobody's like, oh, I can't wait to pay my taxes. So I think
Yeah.
what drives people to us is that they trust us, right? We've been in the market a long time. We've got deep domain expertise. We've got
Great.
software that works very well. We've got a good relationship with Microsoft and the Microsoft partners, and we're keeping them safe and compliant. So that part is I think the biggest piece that's driving people to seek us out.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Lisa, for joining this episode of ISV Talks. And it was interesting to learn about Wolters Kluwer and their CCH SureTax products. So this is Lisa's contact information, you guys. If you want to reach out to her, you can reach out to her email or her phone there. And we've also included their website. So you'd want to go to the CCH SureTax part of wolterskluwer.com and do your own research there and learn a little bit more about Wolters Kluwer. So thank you, Lisa, for joining us today.
Carol, thank you so much. It's really a great opportunity and happy to be here. And it's been really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, if you want to reach out to Lisa, you can reach out to her here on the emails. Well, I'll see you guys again, friends, on the next episode of ISV Talks. Bye bye.